Welcome back to the Base Talk podcast. I am your host, Jacob Billingsley, owner and founder of Base Sports Performance in Hernando, Mississippi. In this episode, we talk with professional athlete RJ Freure on all things pitching development, as well as his experience playing in the World Baseball Classic for Team Canada. All right. Welcome back to the podcast. So today we have RJ Freure, former Houston Astro professional athlete, as well as former teammate of mine. RJ, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Billingsley, thanks for having me, man.
Heck yeah. So, for those of the listeners that, are not familiar with you, tell us your story, man. Tell us your background, where you're from, kind of your hobbies growing up, things like that.
Yeah, I'm born in Canada from a town outside Toronto called Burlington. Grew up north there, and family still lives there. I've been up there my whole entire life, and grew up playing hockey as every stereotypical Canadian does, and absolutely love the sport still to this day, but grew up playing baseball from a young age, and got good enough to play nationally for Canada, which ended up getting me to the University of Pittsburgh down here in the U.S. From there, I was drafted to the Houston Astros, where I met yourself, and spent 4 or 5 seasons, whatever it was, from 2018 to 22 with the Astros, and then was with the Braves for a year, and then spent the last year in the American Association with the Lincoln South Dogs.
Yeah. So I remember first day that I got to West Palm Beach, which is where the Astros spring training was. We walked into the hotel room, and I think you were one of the first guys we met. I remember, talking to you. You might have actually been the first, definitely one of the first few Canadians that I had actually met before. And I remember you kind of telling us about the gap year that you guys got to take following high school before college. Tell me a little bit about that, and tell me how that worked.
Yeah, so it's called like a returning year or whatnot. So like once I graduated high school, I graduated high school in 2015, this spring of 2015. And when Canadians graduate high school versus when Americans graduate high school, typically the Canadians are a year younger, just due to the age we start going to school. So it's NCAA allows us to do returning year and go to school the following year in 2016, so that when our freshman class would all be relatively the same age, giving us equal advantage. I remember you telling me that, thinking that was like one of the craziest things I'd ever heard. But that is, I'm sure that was probably a beneficial year for you. Did you get, did you get to take some time to train or to work on maybe your skill set from the pitching mound, or was that kind of just straight like, hey, I'm going to enjoy this year? What did that year look like for you? So I was committed to a junior college, Walter State, down in Tennessee for a year and a half. So before I was doing the gap year, but I was still going to do the gap year regardless. So I was going to go the 2016 year, but I wanted to go D1, and I don't know. I wanted to go to Pitt. It was somewhere where it was in a good conference. It was close enough to home, but also far enough away. It was kind of like that great median, and I knew that I wasn't good enough to go there from where I was at the time. I had one college offer. It was to Walter State. And I was like, I need to really step up my game. So actually I spent that year working full time. So I'd work from 9 to 5. And then after 5 o'clock, I would drive to our facility where I'd work with my pitching coach, who's been my pitching coach ever since I transferred from a catcher, my sophomore year of high school. And he's still a pitching coach that I call on. He's real close to me. He's actually the pitching coach in the Braves system right now. But I would work with him every day, and, we would start to develop, and I'd follow our strength program and just kind of get more physically developed, because it's a different game. And I knew that from going to events and from our trips down to the U.S. and seeing the players. And so I was like, I need to utilize this time to get strong, get faster, throw harder, just so I can have a chance of staying at the school I wanted to go to.
Moving forward, kind of going into college, what would you say, what was like the biggest difference from like high school baseball in Canada versus going, into Pitt? And I believe, if I remember correctly, you spent 2 years in Pitt and you were draft eligible that sophomore year. Is that correct?
Yes, because of the returning year, I was
technically 3 years out of high school my sophomore year, or I was turning 21 within 45 days. So it kind of takes me as a true sophomore eligible draft. But the difference between high school baseball in Canada and high school baseball in the U.S. is honestly having high school baseball. So our high school baseball season in Canada, unless you're in like the Catholic League, so in the public league for us, it was whoever kind of like wants to learn to play or who wants to play baseball would play high school baseball. It wasn't a competitive thing. It was usually 6 to 8 games long season. So, I mean, it's nothing. You would throw twice. I usually played first base or caught because why not? And so if you wanted to kind of go anywhere, you would join travel teams. And our travel teams are like organizations that you play from the second school's over until the end of the summer when school starts again. And then during the fall, you would have a 6-week broken up road trip going to play D1s, JUCOs, D2s, D3s all across the country, ranging from Pitt to Florida State to LSU. We played Mississippi State, played Ole Miss. Then you played like Walter State, San Jac, like big schools. And then from school starts until the end of school. So we do the whole year loop is off-season training, where it's 4 days a week of lifting, throwing. So it's like an academy basically up in Canada. We'd have multiple, and then during the season you play the other academies. So that was where the real competition came in. But that's kind of exactly what high school baseball in the U.S. is like, and it astounds me. It blows my mind that high school baseball is so competitive down here like that, where you have to seek out facilities that will allow you to play someone who's played baseball.
Yeah, it's definitely a different animal. You know, we're working very closely with a school here that, you know, has like something like 8 or 9 Division I commits, 3 of which have a legitimate chance of getting drafted pretty high in the draft. You know, and their top 4 pitchers, you know, are averaging like 92 to 94 probably. And this is high school, right? These are 17, 18-year-olds. So it's definitely a different game for sure. But, you know, kind of moving into college, obviously you made a big jump going into your freshman year, getting ready to go to Pitt. What would you say that you really learned and took away the most from your time in college that kind of helped you have such a good sophomore year and get drafted, you know, by the Astros that year?
It was honestly just trying to understand like who I was as a pitcher, and that was kind of the biggest thing. A lot of the times, you know, I would just be a thrower. I would just kind of rip the baseball as hard as I could, which is not really a bad thing, but I didn't really know who I was or how I was going to set myself up, how I was going to set up my best pitch, which was my curveball. I just kind of just threw fastballs, and if anyone hit anything, I would just throw a curveball. I mean, that's usually how high school baseball went in Canada for me. And then when going to the U.S., like I remember Clemson came to town, and that didn't work on Seth Beer. Seth Beer hit a home run on Friday, hit a home run on Saturday, and hit a home run on Sunday off 3 of our top arms. And I was like, man, I really need to understand like what I'm doing. I ended up having a good season because I was able to sit down with our pitching coach and our head coach and be like, hey, how do I set this up? What do I need to do to be early on it, to like get ahead early, and then also not give it away at the end? And I was like starting to identify like what type of pitcher I was. I threw hard, but I didn't view myself as a power pitcher. I was a guy that would get ahead with the fastball and then elevate and then spin to the floor.
Yeah.
And once I understood that, I was able to then learn to pitch backwards, learn to pitch forwards, throw all off speed, because I was so comfortable with my one pitch, but I also knew how to utilize it to different hitters, how to aim it up, down, left, right. But also, so that one pitch turned into like 6 pitches because I could land it high, I could land it low. And that was a big thing that our pitching coach taught us, is like a fastball can be used in, out, up, down, or down the middle. Well, there's 5. And then you can go curveball, same thing, back foot, back corner, front of the plate. And like you can make 2 pitches into 10 pitches. And once I understood that and learned how to ingrain that with my pitching and take that into who I was as a pitcher, that's when I started to see success. My sophomore year, where I punched out 95, I believe, in like 50 innings or something. And that's why, that's why I was picked up high as a reliever. Like I was drafted as a 6th rounder as a late reliever closer at Pitt. And so that was kind of shocking as a sophomore, but it was because I had the understanding of who I was and how can I utilize my pitch to different parts to make it more than this 2-pitch kind of guy.
Yeah. So getting so much, it sounded like you were really able to learn, command of the ball, for all your pitches, and that was able to give you so much more mileage from, an efficiency standpoint, where we're not really having to throw 3 of the same pitches to try to get one swing, right? You're throwing, different parts of the plate, you're mixing, you're spinning, and even though it might be 2 actual pitches, just being able to command the ball to where you want to go really was able to kind of help you and give you some more mileage when you were pitching.
Yeah,
kind of
agree, yeah.
Moving forward into pro ball. So obviously I got to see the breaking balls in pro ball, and obviously the heater as well. It was an impressive thing to watch. So kind of moving into pro ball, what would you say, like, biggest thing that you learned, in pro ball that you didn't necessarily know or use much in college that helped you in, your pro ball career?
Oh, that's a good one. Wow. It would be, so one of the things was having something, like understanding your arsenal for me, because like I came in with a fastball curveball. So I was a 2-pitch guy. Yes, I could land it, I could move it, I could manipulate the curveball. But it was either mid-90s or it was upper 70s. And having that gap in the middle was, they're like, hey, it's going to be hard, or they're just going to see that it's not hard and wait for slow. And so I never utilized any in-between pitches or understood how to, develop a changeup that would fit my arsenal or develop a slider that would fit my arsenal until I got to pro ball and they started teaching me the sweeper, which you're notorious for, and then learning the splitter, which became a pitch that I barely used, but it was something that bridged the gap between my fastball, curveball, and slider so that they couldn't just sit on fast and slow. And it took people off my curveball even more than they already were. And that was something that I wish I utilized more in college and understood more, because when you started facing those top round draft pick guys, like, they're going to understand that it's either fast or slow, and especially with a 2-pitch guy. And if I had something that could have looked like a fastball and slow down a little bit, I would have kept them more honest on my pitches, which was actually very game-changing in pro ball. But yeah, that would probably be the thing that I wish I took in. I wish I had in college. Yeah,
very in-depth stuff. Moving into pro ball and kind of understanding how to use things where. So kind of moving into the last thing I wanted to talk about. Last March, I believe I was in Florida on a little weekend trip, and I turned on the TV to the World Baseball Classic, and there's my buddy RJ Freure pitching for Team Canada. So being able to go and play for World Baseball Classic, what was that experience like? How cool was that?
It was unbelievable. It was probably the best experience, and it is the best experience in baseball I've ever had. I mean, it is as close to big league as you're going to get to being in the big leagues. Just the way that even from like the day one where I got on an airplane and they're like, hey, here's your seat, first class. And I was like, I've never been in first class. Like, they're starting it off. Like, they treat you so well from the beginning, to the personal shuttles that'll drive you anywhere in like these blacked out Suburbans. Like, it was an unbelievable experience from all around when you're walking into these welcome team events, and you have USA, Cuba, and like you have all these countries that are here together, and you're looking around, you're like, that's Bednar, that's Trout, that's Mookie, that's like Freddie Freeman's on my team. I'm sitting here, I'm like, you're looking like I've played the show against all of these guys. And then you're thinking like, man, I want to face them. Like, this would be so cool. And you're just kind of starstruck in the moment, but it's unbelievable. Like, it was tough to put into words, like the first couple of days walking into it. The first practice, being around my teammates was very comfortable because I've been around a lot of them growing up through Team Canada, being on the senior national team before. So I was around a lot of them, but it was then facing some of them in scrimmages or, getting into that first game where I've played in front of 8,000 people. I've done 10,000 people, but when we played Team USA, it was 46,000 people, and they were all piled in. It was loud. It was all USA, and it was unbelievul. Like, you sitting in the bullpen, I was just looking around like, wow, like this is what it's like. And when my time was called, I mean, I did what I was supposed to do. I had a great time. I was focused, but right when you walk out there, you just kind of do a quick little look. You're like, wow, like this is unbelievable. It was, again, best experience I've ever had. And to face that lineup, that $1 billion lineup, was so cool. I literally felt like I was playing a real life version of the show.
Yeah, that's such a cool thing to, that not a lot of people get to do, obviously, and especially in the way that you did. You got to represent, your country and play against literally the best baseball players on the planet. And that's something that obviously you'll remember forever. That's something that's really cool. And it's even cool for me, being, obviously so close to you and us being friends and being able to watch you get that opportunity. That's such a really cool thing. That I wanted to make sure that we hit on, because that's something to be proud of for sure. So, we covered a lot of things I wanted to cover. Kind of moving forward, is there anything big that you kind of want to leave with the audience? Whether it is, kind of going back to what you talked about, learning how to use your pitches, or learning location of pitches, or learning how to train properly, or just the opportunity in general to get to play on the World Baseball Classic. Anything you want to leave with the audience?
First things first, I mean, this is a beautiful game. Enjoy it. You get to go anywhere. I mean, you're getting to play a kid's game for as long as you can, and it is so much fun. If you get lucky enough to make professional baseball, you're getting paid to play a game. And I mean, enjoy it. Baseball is one of the most amazing games. It teaches you so much in life. But the big thing I want to leave is the best thing for a pitcher could do in development is just understand who they are as a pitcher, and just how can I be the best version of that. If you're not a guy that's blowing doors in on guys, you can still pitch like you do, but understand that you're not going to be able to run a 3-0 fastball down the middle. And if understand who you are. If you're a crafty guy, be a crafty guy. Learn to pitch backwards. Learn to spin your off speed for strikes anywhere you want, and learn how to turn 2 or 3 pitches into 7 or 8 pitches. And what I mean by that from before is learning how to throw up and in, down and away for strikes, down and in for strikes, up and away for strikes, and your off speed, how to go down low, down in front, down and away. Like, learn how to manipulate your already current pitches to set each other up, and how to take bad misses and set those up to good pitches. And it's just understanding how to make mistakes, but then bounce back right away and turn those into a positive. And that's nothing that anyone's going to really help you with. That's you looking in the mirror and figuring out who I am, what do I do well, and how can I maximize that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Really, really going deeper on getting better at the things that you have, instead of just adding little things, and not getting, to expert status on each of those. Really, really going deep on, 2-3 pitches and learning how to use them where. Well said. So, obviously, again, listeners, thanks for listening today. If you enjoyed this, please feel free to share it. RJ, thanks for joining today, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Of course, Buzzy. Thanks for having me, man. It's fun.